So, hello, my name is Heather Sharp, and I am going to be doing your assessment today. So, I don't get a whole lot of information when they send somebody in. So, first, I would like to start out by asking name so I can call you the correct name.
Okay. Hi Heather. I'm James Thompson.
Hi, James Thompson. Nice to meet you. Let me write this down. And is it going to be okay that I am typing while we are talking so I can fill in the
Sure.
assessment?
Sure.
Wonderful. Before I get started, I want to go over a couple things. So, your rights as a consumer, you have the right at any time to discontinue the services, things like that. We are not forcing you to be here, kind of thing. But also, I do need your consent to treat you. So I can't dive in and ask you all these personal questions without first getting your permission to do so. So if I could get you to sign this piece of paper stating that that's okay, greatly appreciate it. And then also, perfect, thank you. With confidentiality, there are some limits. So if you were to explain to me that you are homicidal, suicidal, anything like that, I do have to act on those things. Or if you have any types of plans or situations with other people, I am a mandated reporter at the end of the day. So if there's anything that may constitute that, I would typically talk to you about it first. I'm not going to be the type of person who just goes and files something without your knowledge. So do you have any questions, concerns, or anything as far as consent to treat or mandated reporting?
What you explain a little bit better what you like an example of what you may require you to take, that kind of action.
So, like, as far as if, like, mandated reporting or for, like, the risk part, which one?
To report.
Okay, so if you were to, let's say, tell me that you had physically gotten upset with a child and may or may not have hit them, depending on the severity of that, that is something that I would have to report. Or if you tell me that you have plans to follow through to hurt another adult. That is something that I also need to follow through, that mandate reporting, like duty to warn. So I would have to let the police know of that. But again, I would talk to you about that before I would do those types of things.
Okay, that makes more sense. It was just a little scary when you said report. So
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like in these types of roles, I want to get to know you to help you the best that I can. So if there's any questions, any types of nerves, bring them out. We can talk about them. It's a safe
okay.
space. First, let's just dive right in. So I have the date as the 28th, and our location of the assessment is via Zoom. And this is a comprehensive clinical assessment. So the first thing I want to ask is, what's our brief summary of the main reason we're seeking treatment?
Um, well, I've been it's kind of not really feeling myself totally lately. Um guess I don't know how to explain it other than just put it out there. And and you're sure this is just between you and me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because well, what's going on is I've always been like really active in sports all through high school, and that's carried on now that I'm in college. High school I played football and soccer and stuff, and um, didn't quite make those teams, but I am on the swim team in college, so I'm still very athletic and working out a lot, and hanging out with my friends. And a few weeks ago, I went to a party, and sorry, I know I probably shouldn't feel embarrassed about this, but I do. And I ended up having sex with another guy, and I've never done that before.
Okay.
And I really liked it. And it wasn't just, you know, getting each other off. It was romantic. It was really nice. I actually ended up like staying the night with him.
Okay. So it was a intimate exchange between the both of you. Is that what I'm understanding? And you stated that it's not happened before and it gave you feelings that were different. Can
I've,
you elaborate on that?
I've always identified as straight. I've always dated girls all through high school. Being, athletic and on football and all that, you always had girls, always interested and never had a problem getting dates or, you know, prom or snowfest or any of the regular high school stuff. I always had, not to take this as bragging, but multiple um girls that were interested. And
Okay.
so always easy to get a date. Had a couple, longer term girlfriends here and there as well. And I don't know, just all of a sudden I don't know. I don't know if I'm straight, bi, gay. I have no idea.
Okay. So the bringing concern of kind of figuring out maybe where our sexuality is defined, correct?
Well, it's not so much because I've had gay friends and stuff, and others being gay doesn't bother me
Okay.
at all. I mean, everybody is, they should be free to be who they are. But for me, with being so active in sports and always presenting as, you know, Mr. Got it all together in the gay in the straight guy world and hanging out with my bros and having fun in the locker room and goofing around and yes, making sometimes inappropriate gay jokes to one another. But now if I am bi or gay, that's all gonna change. How am I gonna have those same friends? I mean, how can I hang out in a locker room with a bunch of guys and change and shower in front of them and have them not look at me differently if they think that I'm into guys.
So do you feel that is because of your experience with these boys in the past and how you guys joked about people in general? Like, are you worried you're going
Sure.
to feel those same feelings from those same friends?
I never had an experience where at least openly a teammate shared that they were gay or bi.
Okay.
It's everybody, all my friends throughout high school and even now in college that are on the sports teams and the people I lift weights with and go jogging with, and no one ever talks about being gay or bi, and I only see them, you know, dating girls. So I don't know. I'm scared. How are these, friends of mine gonna perceive me now? If I were to decide to, because I feel like I'm bad about this too, but the guy in we left the party and went to his place, so no one knows but he and I. And I've been keeping it that way because I've been avoiding him. I'm not, as we'll make eye contact in the hall and I'll see him, start to come towards me and I just get out of there. So I'm sure he's wondering what's going on too, but I don't know. I'm afraid to actually be, hanging out with him in halls or anything. And,
Yeah,
people talk, especially this, college sucks, man. It just sucks sometimes.
absolutely. One, I want to validate that. What I'm hearing is a lot of fear of the unknown. I'm not sure how my friends are going to take it. I'm not sure how this individual is handling the situation because I'm avoiding it. There's a lot of fear. Am I correct?
Sure.
Fear.
I mean, wouldn't you be afraid?
Absolutely. And that validating your feelings as far as college is a time where a lot of people are figuring. I feel like that puts so many people on that, like we feel like we're being judged. We feel like other people are going through similar things, so we know this is how I'm thinking about this person. Wouldn't it be only natural for me to think that they're thinking those things about me? Absolutely valid. Prior to this recent experience, have there ever been any other occurrences or thoughts or anything that's come to you before about potentially being with a man?
Well, nothing hardcore. I mean, I would like, maybe in a movie or TV show, you'd see two guys together, and I would think, oh, I wasn't grossed out by it or anything, that's for sure. I
Okay.
was fine either way. It's just part of it too is the way I was raised. My my dad's in prison, so I didn't really have a dad. Um, I was two when he went away, and he's still in there, and not really any contact. Um, and my mom, my mom died of cancer when I was 12, so I lived with her parents, and I understand, being older, generations are different, but I had to go to church every Sunday, whether I wanted to or not. And you know the kind of stuff they say at church about gay people.
Absolutely. I feel like that potentially could have brought more uncertainty, the
Yeah,
unknown.
and I said, I mean, and they're supporting me. I mean, I work part time, and because I have a 3.5 GPA, even though I'm doing all this stuff, so I get scholarships and stuff, but it doesn't cover everything. So grandma and grandpa are really supporting me financially, and I just don't know if how are they going to react. But I mean, what if they cut me off? What if, and then I can't afford to go to college anymore? And I just feel like there's so many questions.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for sharing them with me as well. And the fear of that the unknown. And like you stated, as far as different generations and how they respond to things, especially having the church piece of this, I could validate where these feelings are coming from. Can I ask your exact age right now? I did not ask it at the beginning. I apologize.
I'm 20.
20. Perfect. So the next question is about treatment history. Have you ever had any previous mental health treatment, inpatient therapy, or any type of hospitalizations or anything as far as mental health?
No.
Okay. I feel like a lot of these questions go all over the place. So if I seem like I'm going all over the place, it's probably because I am. So if you have any questions, let me know. So the next question is in regards to risk. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions as far as risk to yourself and or others. So James, are you having any suicidal ideation at this time?
No. No, I don't feel like I don't want to be here or anything. I just not sure exactly how I want to be here, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
That that's a really good way to put it. What about any homicidal ideation or plans?
No. No.
Thank you for being on. Next question
It's
we're
kind
gonna
of the
talk.
opposite. I keep thinking about reaching out to the guy I told you about and saying, "Hey, do you want to spend the night together again?" But I'm afraid somebody's gonna find out.
You said you met at a party, correct?
Yeah.
Did you guys exchange contact information?
Um, we we already knew enough. I mean, we have had some classes together. We don't
Okay.
have any right now this semester, but we did in the past.
Okay. So it's not something that you could maybe shoot like a little text, meet somewhere more discreet.
Um, no, we didn't exchange phone numbers, but there's always Snapchat.
I just had a chat about Snapchat today and the convenience of it. So, next question I'm going to ask about is substance abuse. Is there any past or current substance use and or abuse?
No, I mean, I know I'm not 21 yet, so don't do your report thing, but a little bit of drinking, but it's not all the time. It's only, an occasional party. And then I don't get drunk even the nights that he and I hung out. Neither of us were drunk,
Okay.
you know. I, I wouldn't even say that I had a buzz going. It was just a couple beers hanging out with the guys. And he and I just started talking, and I don't know, it just felt right.
I like it. So, kind of like socially.
Yes.
Perfect. Medical history. Do you have any history of any type of medical anything? So that could be like, oh, I had my tonsils removed, or I met my doctor as prescribed for the last 20 years for my well child.
No, I mean, I always went because of sports. You have to go for your annual sports physical, do the old, turn your head and cough thing. Um, Never been any major problems with anything physically or mentally for that matter. It's there've been times, I guess, now that I think back, just because grandma, grandpa, they're always pretty strict and still are. But I don't know, maybe it's because with my dad being in prison, I am more open to accepting grandma, grandpa for, being kind of stricter because, they've been through a lot and, the loss of my mom too, and they love to go to church. They're both very active. It's not just a Sunday thing. They're there Wednesdays and sometimes Saturday, and then of course Sunday. And so I know it's really important to them, but there have been times that because of some of the stuff that was said at church and stuff that I felt out of place. And even sometimes at home, especially now getting older, I don't always agree with some of the viewpoints, especially, the last ever since the last presidential election, when I'm home, there's a lot of discussion about what's going on in Washington and everything. And I love grandma grandpa. I don't agree with a lot of what they're saying.
I validate that. That uneasy feeling of knowing people who are major caregivers in our life might not necessarily understand or support some of the things that we see as important. That's heavy. I want to validate that. Next is developmental history. So this is going to talk about your developmental milestones, like ages and stages is what I like to say. So like, did we walk on time? Did we crawl? Was there a little delay? Any developmental history that you can give me that you could recall?
Um, I was when I was really young, like kindergarten, first grade. And I don't remember a lot. I just remember it more from grandma, grandpa, and others talking about it afterwards. But um, I did have some speech classes, so I was kind of a little behind in talking, and I remember later on when they were talking about stuff, they said that the therapist or the speech therapist, that's what it was called, had shared that it was probably because of the trauma of my dad going to prison. Again, I was two when he went away, and so that kind of affected my willingness to learn to talk because I kind of just kind of went into keeping to myself.
Absolutely.
And then I did have a little bit of a hard time when mom passed, even though we knew it was coming because she was sick. Unfortunately, I mean, for years she was sick. So me and grandma, grandpa would often have really nice conversations about the steps to someone dying and what takes place and of course grandma, grandpa's view of what happens afterwards and how we're all going to be together again someday. And I'm not sure if I agree with all that, but um, it was still comforting through all that. So even though honestly parts of my life, been really hard at times between my dad and my mom, grandma, grandpa were always the ones to talk me through it and help me realize that I'm still, kind of my own person, even though, bad things like that happened. And which is why I'm even more nervous now. I mean, what the hell are they gonna think if they find out I had sex with another guy?
Right. And that with you've clearly identified them as being major supports in your life and their influence, it impacts you a great deal, is what I'm hearing. And the feelings of the nervousness and the fear, that's if you thinking of any type of information that we're telling somebody for the first time, whether it's family, friends, there's always like that little like in your body. Can you feel it like right here, right in that belly part, like
I kind of get it right in my throat.
right in your throat? Okay, can almost yeah, like oh, I'm gonna choke on these words. Super valid. And that
It's almost like there's somebody there saying, "No, shut up, James. You shouldn't be saying this."
that's a really good perspective. Even there holding it. That's powerful. Family mental health and substance abuse history. So, any information about family history of mental health disorders or substance abuse, anything that you might know.
Obviously, my dad, I mean, he's in jail for drugs. Um, and he got all that time because he was actually manufacturing and distributing, selling the stuff. So he was impacting all sorts of people, not just his own family. But I have been told that he used as well, so he wasn't just selling. But the reason he's in prison and been in for all this time was because he, for again, just from what people have told me, especially grandma grandpa, he had a lot of drugs when he got busted and was manufacturing.
Was it a specific drug, like a lot of one specific drug, or just a lot of copious different amounts?
Um, it was meth. Yeah.
Just want to make sure I had that correctly. Any other family mental health or substance abuse history?
No, no, like I said, I mean there were times again, when dad went away, and then again when mom got sick and passed away years later. You know, things aren't always the easiest as far as he just felt really sad on and off for a while, but I haven't felt that way. Like I said, she passed away when I was 12, so it's been 8 years. So I still miss her at times, they, but that's part of my confusion too, even with all this, because I think because she was a lot like, grandma, grandpa when it came to church and stuff. So I don't even know if she was still alive, if I'd be able to have this conversation with her. I don't know.
And that like, I think that's one of the heaviest parts about grief is that unknown of the what ifs. What if she was here and would say these things? What if? I I'd like to. Are you familiar with the stages of grief? I'm
A
assuming.
little bit. Grandma, grandpa had me, years ago, talk to their pastor, and I remember him going through that kind of stuff with me.
I like to think about all those stages being in a circle, like a grief wheel, because grief, that's not linear, right? It doesn't start here and end here. It circulates. It shows up sometimes 10 years down the road when you have a big event, like even graduating college. That wheel might bring some of those feelings back up. And looking at it as a wheel kind of takes the pressure off, like, well, I'm not in this stage or I'm not at that stage. Like I'm supposed to be following this line, right? No, we look at it as a wheel. It's like I can go through different stages at different times of my life. And that's okay. And it's heavy. Looking at it like that might help a little bit of perspective. History of traumatic experiences. So you had mentioned obviously the traumas with dad and with mom. Are there any other traumas that you can identify that you would like to have in the report as well? So I'm aware.
Um, no, you don't think that's enough?
Hey, I'm not here to judge. Supports. I know.
No, and that's okay. I was gonna say sometimes because I have friends that, at least in my opinion, had tougher lives, had worse things going on. I've had friends that their parents would smack them around sometimes, and that's never happened to me. And so I think a lot of people have it a lot worse than I ever did. So I do try to use that, as somewhat of a leveling perspective.
Okay, I was gonna say I was about to social work for a second there and be like, wait, we can't compare ourselves because nobody's lived your life exactly like you, correct? Yeah, but I totally see that the devil's advocate playing within yourself. Supports. You identified grandma and grandpa as being a pretty solid support. Even with the fear, they are still people that you feel like you can rely on, correct? Who else would you identify as a support system? Family, friends, pets?
I don't, don't have any brothers or sisters, no pets. I'm just too busy with school and everything to take time for pets. And grandma was always, she doesn't wear all that fur around on her furniture anyway. So no, no pets. I mean, I have some close friends. At least we've always been close. I don't know if they would stay close if they knew what I was talking to you about. But with that set aside, we've always been fairly close. We do a lot of stuff together. We study together. Um, you know, obviously play sports together and go to sporting games together and sit and watch sports on the TV. And
Good. Are these friends that you've been friends with um since high school too? Or are some of them like both?
I have some. I don't have any friends from high school that transferred to the same university,
Okay.
but we still keep in contact. And when I'm home on holidays and stuff, we generally hang out, go see a movie or something. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, there's always Instagram. So we kind of know what's going on in each other's lives, whether we actually talk to each other or not.
I love social media for that, connecting us from all different places of the world. I already have this one, but living situation, I just want to confirm that I understood you correctly. You're living with grandma and grandpa. Do you have your own space within their home?
Oh, I mean, home is with grandpa, but I'm living on campus,
Okay,
and I have.
okay. I'm glad I
Yeah.
asked.
Yep. Nope. I live on campus, so I'm with grandma, grandpa, when I'm home on holiday breaks and every now and then a weekend, but it's a several hour drive and it's expensive. Gas is, too much to drive home every weekend, but I got so much homework to do anyways, and all the schedule with the sports, and they come over for a game here and there, but they're older, so they can't always make the drive, and that's okay. Um,
Do you have any roommates?
but yeah, roommate's all right. Um, ever since my overnight uh experience that I've shared, I'm cautious around him too because he's always like cracking gay jokes and saying derogatory terms and even using, the F word. And I don't mean fuck. So I don't, when people throw those kind of words around, have that kind of attitude, how are they going to react to, he's my roommate. It's a very small room. We inadvertently see each other naked sometimes coming in out of the shower. And no, I don't find him sexually attractive in any way. But is he going to realize that? Is he going to, I mean, you've seen the movies. How many times have you seen a storyline in a movie where just because somebody's gay, every straight dude thinks that they want them? And so I've been keeping my distance from him. Just, yeah.
Until you know, I validate. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that same thing. People assume when they find that out, okay, that means you must like me, right? Because I'm another man that's in the same space as you. Like, no, I'm a type, buddy. Might not be its type. That's okay.
There's this guy I knew back in high school who it came out that he was gay,
Mhm.
and then he would just happen to be in the bathroom, go in the bathroom one day, standing at the urinal, and another guy accused him of looking at him, and it's like his life was over. The kid kept saying, "I didn't do it. I didn't. It didn't matter whether he did it or not. That was him. That's how he was labeled now."
And that followed him
And he
for,
ended up having to go to a different school. So he just couldn't. And I don't want that to happen. I like my college. My swim team is great. I love being part of the team. Um, so I don't want to risk that. I don't want to have to switch colleges or drop out.
completely validate that. Education, you are at Saginaw Valley State University, correct?
Actually, it's a little college in Ohio, just outside Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, it's quaint. It fits the whole Midwestern stereotype. It's conservative. It's, you know, it's safe. I never hear of any crime or anything around here, so that's cool. It's what grandma and grandpa supported, and again, they're helping to pay the bills, so you go
Okay,
where they want you to go.
that's fair. Does this school have a name?
Yeah, but
It's a Midwestern Conservative College campus and it's safe. I've got that.
yeah,
What is your major? I know you're playing sports.
I am studying kinesiology.
Oh my goodness. That is a, hold on. Kinesiology. Can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit? I know this is probably going to make me sound silly, but
No,
what would you do?
no, I'm glad you asked because you know, been one of the happy points in my life still since I started having all these conflicting, feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's basically the study of the human body. So I'll be able to use it to, I want to go into like maybe sports medicine.
Oh, okay.
So, because again, that's obviously I love sports. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about football and soccer and swimming, and so yeah, but it's kinesiology. Kinesiology helps you understand how the body moves and why it
Okay.
moves the way it does, so you can help others heal from injuries, and so it can easily fit in with sports medicine.
Absolutely. That is cool. Now, are you doing any type of work-based employment or doing anything while you are also in school for employment?
I just work part-time on campus, in the food service. It was a easy job to get, and they very open to working around my schedule between practices and games, classes, and time
That's
for
nice.
homework. And it's just 18 hours a week, so it's not a
Okay.
lot, but and thankfully it's just spending cash. Grandma and grandpa really cover all the big bills, so that's just for me, to buy a little something or you know take a friend out or gas money if I decide to drive back home for the weekend or not.
Nice. Would you say you enjoy your current employment right now for what it is?
Sure. I mean, again, it's only 18 hours a week, so it's kind of hard to get too stressed out when you're barely there.
Not a bad point. Relationship history. You mentioned lots of girlfriends in high school and kind of multiple at a time sometimes. What other relationship types of connections have you had? You mentioned lots of friends, playful engagement, things like that. Is there anything else as far as relationship history that you would like me to know?
Wow. I have to think about that one. Well, there's just two real girlfriends. At least
Okay.
just two that I would consider real. The other ones were, very short term or just one or two night stands and off you go, whatever. Um, but a couple I dated a couple years each at a time, so it was
Okay.
nice. And the breakups were just, I mean, one of them was because we went off to separate colleges and we tried for a few weeks, but it just doesn't work when, she went all the way out to Colorado. So it's not like you can hang out on weekends or something. And the other one was early on in high school. So, we were both just kids and didn't have any fucking idea what we wanted. So
Figuring
I
it
didn't even
out.
talk. I didn't even talk to that one, and I don't know how long.
Some of those people, we just like to keep them in the past, don't we?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay,
Sorry
learn
if I
something.
seemed kind of. I've been really having a lot of trouble sleeping lately. Too, just since it's just as I can't stop thinking about everything. Part of me wants to, like I mentioned earlier, snap them and say, "Hey, can I come over?" Which I know the answer is probably no because you know that one night we were together, it was in his apartment off campus, and he does have roommates. It's just nobody was home that night because it was a Saturday night, and all of his roommates had gone back to their home, different homes. So he just knew it was safe that night. But Now it probably isn't. So I just keep thinking about, I mean, I'll go to bed and I'll just lay there and I'll think, you know, so it was a really nice time and the cuddling was the best part, just laying around cuddling and talking. But and then I start thinking about all my teammates again and all their gay jokes. And I don't know.
You feel like it spirals when those thoughts start to pop up.
Yeah, I just can't get my brain to shut off, so then I can't get to sleep. So I'm worried that because I haven't been sleeping, I mean, eventually it's going to trickle down into my, class performance. I haven't really noticed anything yet, but there haven't been any big projects or, you know, tests since all this happened. So, but I got some coming up, so I'm worried about that. So it's just like I go to bed and just can't stop thinking.
Thank you, one, for sharing that with me. And two, that the self-awareness part, like the fact that you are seeking support because it's to the point like this is something that is impacting my life to the point where I'm losing sleep. And the fact that you can identify that is huge too, because you're like almost like see a need, fill a need. This is what's happening. I need to respond. So,
I've always been the type, I mean, bed and I'm out in 10 seconds.
okay.
I mean, again, between all the sports and lifting weights and now college work on top of that, when I go to bed, I'm out. But last couple of weeks, it just hasn't been that way.
Preoccupy. We're going to shift focus a little bit here into is there any type of legal history or any Department of Health and Human Services history, anything like that?
No, I mean, does like being on like food stamps and stuff for a while count as
So
that
that would
question? Because
be,
before,
I was gonna say
because it
food.
was after, well, it was just after dad was gone, mom really struggled and then she got sick. So, and mom was very adamant about, grandma and grandpa not taking care of everything just because she got sick. So, we were on assistance until after she passed and I moved in with grandma and grandpa. Um, so, but I had, a lot of friends that were too. So it didn't feel bad to me or anything.
Good. And that was more or less I was asking any type of like CPS complaints, any type of foster care, anything along those lines with mom?
No, 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 mom was good. Yeah.
Well, beans, moving right on. Cultural beliefs and identification. So you mentioned that grandma and grandpa are pretty faithful. What would you say that your cultural beliefs are or identifications?
Well, I definitely believe in a God.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I do. I find myself thinking about that sometimes too. But I do. I think there's got to be something
Okay.
bigger than us. I mean, if there isn't, then how can, at least for me, I think, how can we figure out a purpose if there isn't something bigger to strive for? But with that said, sometimes I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm not sure if I want there to be a God, even though I agree that there has to be someone or something. But some of the stuff that I've heard at church over the years about the way certain people are treated, including gay people, I don't know. I get confused because they stand up there and they talk all about love, 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 and then they next sentence is talking about how certain groups of people are going to hell because they're doing things that. So I don't know, which is it? How can you have both? So it gets confusing, but deep down, I do think there's got to be something, and I hope that something is something positive. But
And until then, it's got you critically thinking.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little worried.
And that's, I think, too, correct me if I'm wrong, but the fear of the unknown of in any type of situation causes that especially when it comes to a God, when we can't physically see that thing. It's trust in the unknown sometimes, which is also one of those gut uncomfortable feelings. Totally validate that.
It's just one
Strength
more thing
and
I
oh,
add to
yep.
my list of when I'm laying in bed that I think about now. I mean, I thought about it on and off, but ever since that night, this is just like when I lay down, I got this whole list that I just go through, and I don't get any answers to any of them. So then I start the list all over again.
And then that causes you to lose that sleep, that never ending cycle. Do you
Yeah,
have
and I
any
mean,
oh go ahead.
after laying there an hour or whatever, then you get up and you start playing on your phone.
Oh, the doom scrolling. Are you guilty of that too? That
Mm-hmm.
are
Never used to be because I was too busy, but now in the middle of the night, what else do you do?
right. Do you do any like before bedtime like routines or anything? Like any meditation or yoga or anything?
No, so again, I'm usually just dog tired, so it didn't matter. It just once I crack,
Yeah.
literally, I would hit the pillow, and 10 seconds later, I'd be out.
Maybe that's something we can work on. Like, maybe some techniques to help us process a lot of those feelings, but in more of a self-accepting way. Because I feel like some of the things that you're sharing may seem, are we judging ourselves a little bit of the unknown? A little bit. That's my thought. Strengths. So now I'm going to talk about the things that you are awesome at, other than sports. What are some things you are fantastic at, James?
Um, I like to cook.
Ooh, okay. You have
Yeah,
certain things you like to cook, or is it like anything?
pasta.
Oh,
But being an athlete, we were taught at certain points it's important to carb up.
yeah.
Get ready for a heavy lift or a certain game or so you carb up. So I learned to, especially since being away at college, to because I mean the cafeteria food's all right, but it's not the same as, trust me, my chicken Alfredo with broccoli and mushrooms, yeah. And I don't use no canned sauce either.
Oh, you make it homemade.
Yep.
That's a skill. I like. I want to praise you for that strength because
Well, and it's something that's easy to do in the dorm room.
okay,
It's
that's
not,
fair.
it
Yep.
sounds fancy, but it's actually quite easy to do.
Good. Okay. I like it. So, like to cook, sports. I put this in here, but if you want me to take it out, I can. Spending time with friends, that's a strength. What other
Well, I
things do you?
do. Yeah, I mean, last few weeks I haven't. I kind of avoid most of them just because I don't know. Now I don't know. They start to say certain comments. I'm afraid I might actually speak up and defend that person, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, why? Are you
Okay.
sucking dick now too?" And
Okay. So that, how do I want to word this? So, what along the lines of good relationship skills? That's not saying that we're spending time with them right now. That's saying I have solid relationship skills with friends in that moment. From here moving forward, that might
normally,
shift.
before all this, I felt comfortable, really comfortable with what I would consider my friend group.
And you mentioned a lot of the connectedness that you have with grandma and grandpa too. That speaks to your relationship skills.
Oh, true, but they're also pretty much all I have as far as family. Everybody else is gone.
Okay, so they feel do you almost feel like obligated to spend time with them because of that?
Sometimes, but not in a super strong way. I mean,
Okay.
there have been times when I'm home that, yeah, I'll drag my ass to church with them because that's what they expect, and I don't really want to go, but I don't flat out hate going to church either. So
Almost like that
just
double-edged
lately,
sword.
I went home the weekend after the weekend that I spent the night with my new friend, and I was just too tired because I didn't sleep at all Saturday night. And then, it's not like they'll go to the 11 o'clock service. They got to go to the fucking 8 a.m. service. So,
Oof.
but I still got up and went along because they do a lot for me. So, but I just got to get back to sleeping better. And I think that'll help everything.
And honestly, there is a lot of research out there that, excuse me, that states that like when we lose, like let's say you lost an hour of sleep last night, on average it takes you roughly 2 to 3 weeks to get that hour back. So when we lose a tiny bit of sleep, that truly impacts us for weeks on end. So identifying that is huge, and wanting to get back into a sleep routine is kudos because it's a
Yeah.
big part of who we are.
I have tried to make myself think about, happier things because I read that in a book. So instead of thinking about all the stuff I've been sharing and like my summer job last summer, and then I'm going to do the same thing, this coming summer. But I worked as a lifeguard, and it kind of goes right in with being on the swim team and everything. And so, plus, you're in the sun a lot, and I work on my tan, and I work out a lot. So I think I look good, and
Good. Self-esteem's a huge part too.
but
All right.
even that
So
doesn't.
what was that? I'm sorry.
I say even thinking about good things doesn't help me fall asleep. So
Well, hopefully we can work together and find you some techniques that do help. And we can process some more of these heavier feelings too. So maybe it doesn't make falling asleep so difficult. Few more things before we wrap up here, because I am watching the time. Are there any?
one thing I do need to clarify because
Yeah.
I think I misspoke when I said my time was my with my new special friend was, I think I said 3 weeks ago, but no, it was more like 3 months ago.
Okay, so it was 3 months ago, not 3 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. I just caught myself thinking, see what I mean? I'm just like I overthink now, and I never used to do that, and then I realized that I've said something that wasn't accurate. And it's not just here, I've caught myself in classes, and so I'm just not thinking straight anymore.
Kind of distracted with all these other thoughts and feelings happening. It's a lot. Are there any voices or things that you are seeing or hearing in this room that I am not?
No.
Okay, perfect. Attention, I just want to make sure. How is your short-term memory loss? So, was it we have stress on our plate, so our memory kind of seems to be a little teetered, or has this been something that you've had issues with in the past, or is it new? How's our memory been over time?
Um, Over time, I think everything's been fine. Again, like I say, a 3.5 GPA. So, but it's just been, more recent that, and it's probably just because I'm tired all the time. But
And that plays a huge role.
well, and with, summers, vacation just around the corner, and if I'm gonna be a lifeguard again, I can't be tired. I can't, you know, don't want to fall asleep, and I'm supposed to be watching people and make sure they don't drown.
Melody. Okay. I apologize. I just want to make sure that I covered everything. There are no. Okay. So, James, I want to thank you for your time today and being open and honest with all of these questions that I've asked you today. We met today and we completed a what I call an annual assessment or an assessment to start into services, and we discussed some of your presenting concerns and or problems. You met someone roughly 3 months ago and had a sexual experience with him that has left you feeling a lot of different emotions. I'm not even going to put specific ones on there. There's a lot of them, and it's causing some sleep disturbances. And you are seeking support for this. We have a support system, but we're curious how that support system potentially is going to change with the information that we may or may not share with them. Am I correct as far as summing everything up? Is there anything that you're like, whoa, Heather, you missed this, get it in there. You weren't listening to me at all. Is there anything that I missed?
No, no, I think you pretty well got it. Again, my biggest thing is if I did decide to openly identify as, bi or gay, am I gonna have the same friends even?
And that, and I think we can dive heavier into that in that first session too, and really get all those feelings out on the table and maybe even identifying where some of those feelings come from. So we mentioned that some of it might be from the church and how things have been said during services and the judgment that can be presented. Maybe some of those internal feelings of even when we were a kid, maybe where some of these thoughts and feelings came from. Because as a 20-year-old, that's a long time for a lot of these messages to kind of like set up shop in our head and for us to believe them. So we'll dive really into those too and figure out maybe where some of those internalized thoughts might be coming from. Does that sound okay to you?
Okay.
For the next time? Perfect. Well, then let's schedule for next week. How's that sound?
Okay.
Cool
Yeah,
beans.
same day and time should work.
Perfect. And I will see you then, sir. I again thank you for your time today.
Thank you.